Do you still have any of those charmer koozies? I love those.
I have 100.
They're fantastic. Well, welcome aboard the Funny Boat Podcast. I am your host, Captain Boomies. With me is the furry, the fabulous, the broker with the beard, Ed Pickering. How are you doing, Cap?
I'm doing fantastic, Captain Boomies. How about yourself? How about this spot?
Yeah, we're on location.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird, right?
I hope it. Yeah, it's got to be better than Pussers, right?
I almost don't know what to make of it. Well, certainly quieter than Pussers.
Definitely.
Well, until I started yelling about screwing up the first recording.
Hey, Kate, who are you sponsored by?
Oh my God, I'm so glad I screwed up the first recording because it means I get to tell you about our sponsor. We are sponsored by Chesapeake Bay Magazine, the wonderful periodical that tells you about all the reasons why it is amazing to live and exist here on the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries and get access to gorgeous places like this.
Yeah, exactly like this. Absolutely. Chesapeake Bay Magazine. I've always liked it. It's a lot of to-the-point stuff and not a whole lot of fluff. But if you're into the the little things going on in the different towns and what's available to your touristy pleasure,
it's actually the only place I get my news anymore. Because I can't handle bad news anymore. But also they have videos and all kinds of other cool content on their website, ChesapeakeBayMagazine.com. Go check it out. Go comment on all of their Facebook stuff and tell them the Funny Boat Podcast sent you because you love us. And that's what we need. Please, please, please.
Yes.
But more importantly, I really love being on the Chesapeake Bay because I get to meet really cool people like Cruise the Chesapeake, Captain TJ Sanner, who threw a fabulous party that Ed didn't get to go to recently. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ed.
That's a fantastic time.
Invite got lost in the mail.
We're on Cruise the Chesapeake's gorgeous vessel. She is I'd call her a dead rise fishing boat. Does that sound right to you, broker?
Yes. That sounds, dead rise, traditional style workboat.
Okay. She's still prettier than that, though.
It is pretty.
She's like glossy and shiny, and I'm not afraid of touching things.
Right.
Which tells me it's not exactly a work boat.
No, there's no odd smells kind of hidden in little nooks and crannies. It's
try to keep it clean.
But yeah, so I'm just obsessed with what you've got going, and you're doing charters now. You're doing gorgeous, fabulous charters, and one of those charters just happened to be the Chesapeake Charmers event that I
can't wait to hear about it
without you, and I'm so sorry, Ed. I know.
Apparently, I'm not charming enough.
Well, maybe if you put out more content,
wow.
like I told
Shots
you
fired.
to.
Tis true.
But no, I did get to go out on this boat. I was absolutely charmed to death by it. When we went out for a sunset cruise on the Magothy River, there was these beautiful clouds in the sky that were just streaky enough to have all this gorgeous light coming from the sunset. I looked fabulous in that golden hour. And we happen to have like all of the most impressive photographers and content creators in the area.
That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah. It made me feel really, really good.
Good.
Sorry, Ed. Not sorry. Well, we'll make you look pretty one of these days.
Yeah.
Get you a koozie. I got a couple koozies left over. Souvenir.
I wonder what episode that happens. When does the glamour happen for the beard?
Yeah, I don't know.
What episode is
Well,
that? 48?
40. I'm going to go with like 74, really. Are we going to get there?
Don't rush into it.
Well, there's got to be a hero's arc for you. You got to Cinderella this.
You're right.
No, but okay, back to Cruise the Chesapeake. TJ, this boat is so much bigger than I thought it would be when I first got on board. It surprised the heck out of me. And then you told me how many people are allowed on board.
Yeah, it's inspected for 40 people.
40?
And 2 crew, yep.
That's so many That's such a good party.
It is a good party.
That is a party, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did a brilliant thing, and you invited all of these party people that I love. Part of the reason we have this podcast is because I like to talk to other boating influencer, Instagrammer types, because I'm honestly just a big fan. And I'm such a fan that I figured out the only way to talk to them is to become one.
Yeah. That was smart.
Was it? Or is it terrible and awkward and makes me a total creep when I meet them? I don't know. How creepy was I, TJ?
No, I mean, no, not at all. It was great. Perfect level of creepiness.
Just the right amount.
So when you do it, though, they're like, oh, yeah, I've heard of you. When I do it, they're like, who are you? What are you? Where's your kid? Who am I getting a picture with? Me. You're getting a picture with me.
I like it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it.
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
fix
right.
it for you, Ed. We're trying.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Maybe we do need to Cinderella you sooner.
But this boat, Captain, talk to us about it. I want to know more.
Yeah, so bought it from a retired waterman down in Chrisfield, Maryland, which is, if you're wondering, is a 10-hour boat ride to get us back home with the weather that we had that day. And it was a legit fishing boat that they use for rockfish. And the gentleman that I bought it from was Buddy Carson down in Chrisfield. And I think he got it brand new in 1999. I think it's on its second or third set of engines in it, and they only have, I think, 305 hours on them right now. So they're remanufactured. So yeah, it's like a new boat for me, and it's in really, really good shape. Really didn't have to do too much to it when we got it, other than like all the preventative maintenance, because it had been hauled out of the water for 2 years, and they were just looking to sell it to the right family that was going to use it for the right reasons. And I think they turned some people away, and just through a couple local connections that I had with some guys down in Solomon's Island, somebody said this boat was available, and I drove down the next week to see it, and timing worked out really well, and we were able to bring it home about 3 weeks after that. So it was pretty cool. Brought my girls down to see it, and it was really cool. Really excited for it. My dad came with me to go get it, and he was like, "This is it."
Oh,
so it was really exciting.
That makes me really happy, because you're going from basically some old salt and his salty family to you're basically creating a legacy of waterfront people through starting with your father. Did his father also do
no,
water
they
stuff?
There's a lot of the family. I didn't know my grandfather too much. He passed away when my dad was, I think, in 6th grade or going into 6th grade. So obviously I never met him. But they were, big into all kinds of stuff on the water. They lived on the water down in Annapolis. And my father, he was a waterman. He did crabbing and oystering. And I did it when I was a little kid. Got my boating safety card when I was 6, and had a 1942 Montgomery Ward fully riveted. Still doesn't leak to this day. Still have it to this day.
Nice.
And it had a little 2.5 Johnson Seahorse on it. So as soon as you pull start, you're in forward. There's no neutral. And my dad, as soon as I got my boater safety card, Dad said, "You're allowed to go out to the Red 2, which was the horse farm." And he said, "You don't have to have your life jacket on. It just needs to be next to you." And I was 6, and I thought to myself, would I ever let my 6-year-old, like, absolutely not, like, just different. But I had to be able to pull the boat up one of those work floats and launch it by myself, and know how to hand. I mean, it was the coolest thing. And then when the algae and the seaweed got real thick, it would clog the propeller up, so I'd have to like row out. So like you can only use it for a little bit in the summer before the algae bloom started. But it like, so that was my exposure to it. And then I got a 9 and 11-year-old daughter that I'm trying to get them on it. They just passed their boating safety course. So it's hopefully the next generation, and the next generation, get to use the boat and take an interest in it. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just expose them to it, and hopefully they get ate up with it and excited.
Well, you've been taking all kinds of kids out on the water, though. Was it your daughter's idea to?
No. So it was really, I'm good friends with Luke and CJ.
So Luke, let me back up for a second here. So TJ has done something absolutely brilliant, and that was he saw that there's all these weirdos on the internet that happen to be watermen, like Luke McFadden. Yes, I'm calling you a weirdo, Luke. Who do his job, his very hard job of crabbing on the Chesapeake Bay, and he shows you in real time on video on TikTok with his 1 million+ subscribers how he does his job, and it's totally bonkers to me and really an absolute pleasure because he's so funny when he does it. And like he really gets into the nitty gritty of what it means to be a waterman and all the gloves they have to go through. And these are not like wimpy little gloves.
No, your dexterity is limited considerably.
And it's just incredible. But so TJ, being the brilliant man that he is, said,
It's
hey,
debatable.
You know who needs to see this? Young people growing up and who need to know what it takes to get food to the table.
Right. And so I knew CJ through the duck hunting community, and that's how I met Luke, because CJ, I don't think Luke...
So CJ is Papa Luke, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the FV Miss Paula. And I don't think CJ gets enough credit for, kind of being the catalyst for all this fun crabbing stuff, but I think he is, personally. But no, they're a good team. So I met Luke through duck hunting. I think probably late elementary school, early middle school. Luke and I met on a duck hunt with CJ. And CJ and I were duck hunting outfitters for, CJ's been in it for a long time, but I did it for about 10 years and really enjoyed it. But that's how I met Luke. And so the three of us were eating breakfast in Serona Park at the breakfast shop. And we were all kind of talking about what's going on. And I had just gotten the boat. Actually, the boat was hauled for the year, and trying to figure out how we could do it. And, I'm supportive. My goal is always just say yes when somebody gave me an idea for the boat. And he's like, if I could just figure out how to, he goes, people ask me all the time how to go out, on the boat. And I want to take little kids out, but there's no way I'm putting these people on my boat. And he's like, aside from the occasional photographer or reporter or whatever that wants to write an article, I'll take them out. And I said, well, we can just use my boat and we'll just take a bunch of kids out. And he goes, there's no way people, would think that would sign a permission slip to let their kids go out, and I said, well, let's see if we can do it. So we came up with this idea, chasing crabbers, and instantly we said, well, we're going to end up doing this with grownups too. And sure enough, as soon as we started doing it with for field trips for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, all the grownups were like, how can I do this? And all the chaperones, like it was a fighting to try to who was going to be the chaperone, for the kids that day. And it was really cool. So we ended up taking out 90 fourth graders in 1 week.
Wow.
From a local county public school, and did a GoFundMe online that Luke helped share. We had a guy named Brian Morrison. He did the promo video for us. Absolutely epic, and it was really, really cool. So it worked, and we ended up, I think we're at $12,000 that we raised, and we had to buy 70 life jackets and all the good stuff, and just all the other expenses that we had to have to make it safe. All the insurance stuff, where we had to have, like it written out and release waiver. So, and my sister-in-law, she is a teacher at in one of the county schools. And so she helped me kind of get my vendor approval and the background checks that we had to do for me and the crew. And we finally got that through, and we were able to put those 3 days on kind of as like a pilot test. And so now we're going to go hot and heavy, hopefully get a couple this summer, some, maybe some homeschool, some Cub Scout or Boy Scouts or Girl Scout groups, and get some people out this summer, and then try to be off to the races start of September, because crabbing season's over by the end of October. And if it gets, colder faster, then it might just be September. So that's our goal. And then we're doing the Chasing Crabbers cruises for grownups now.
Yes.
Our first one's, I think it's the 29th of July.
The 29th of July.
I think Friday.
Get your tickets now. It is going to sell out.
Definitely.
I'm buying tickets.
Am I allowed to buy tickets?
Yes,
of course.
I am allowed on this
one.
one?
You can come
Okay.
on this
I
one.
wasn't sure.
You better look good, though. I'm not going to have any
I
of
lied.
it.
It's actually the 21st, so it's
geez.
2 Fridays from now.
2 Fridays from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'll fight you.
we're leaving first thing, 5:45. You get the full experience.
Oh, God.
all that
Maybe.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, explain today for us. 'cause
Yeah,
that's-
so somebody's going to have to bring some Marble Reds and some Monster Energy drinks, just like their normal crew on a crab boat. And
got
somebody's
boots.
going to
I got
have to be late and wear the wig. I think CJ makes him wear the clown wig if whoever's last or late. And so you're going to come down. I'm debating whether to make them fuel the boat up and do the engine checks with me, but I'll probably do that for him, just being a nice guy. And then we're going to listen to the radio, see if we can hear them talking out there. I'm not sure if those guys are on the VHF radios, but we're going to chase them down. I know where they pretty much crab for the most part, and we're going to go hunt them down and get right up on them, and hopefully not chop up any of their gear and go from there.
Oh, God. Running up.
I'm really hoping to have some photographers on there. We do have Mike Keller from Chesapeake Towns. He's gonna be aboard, but I think it'd be a cool opportunity with the sunrise for some photographers too.
I love his Instagram. Oh,
That's
my
great.
God. It's so good.
Yep.
And then I met him on the Chesapeake Charmers cruise.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
got-
right.
Yeah, sorry.
That happened.
Did you hear about that one?
I did. No, actually, I did not.
Get your Instagram in order. Jeez.
Well, I saw it today.
Right. It was a great time.
That was that's such a cool idea. And I really think that you've got a big hit with the chasing crabbers thing. I think people are going to have such a good time doing that. And I know you invited Evan Woodard, who's been
Yeah.
on our podcast before, my favorite magnet fisherman.
Is he the only magnet fisherman? No.
No, it's actually
I know it's taken off. It's
yeah,
huge.
It's huge.
he's my favorite one.
Yeah.
But
Mine
yeah,
too.
he's my favorite magnet fisherman. I know he was trying to convince you to let him bring some of his grubby people on here, but I like the idea of this boat gets to stay nice and clean.
Yeah,
Like,
I would love to do it if we can figure out a way to not, because that mud, like a lot of mud, like the harbor mud, will stain.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
And it takes
absolutely.
a whole summer of sunlight to fade it. So if we can figure out a way to
Yeah, they're,
keep the deck wet, and I'd consider it. I'd try it once.
Yeah.
Small scale first, just to make sure we don't stain the deck up or drop a. He had like an axe head or a chisel head or like a big pickaxe
Oh
that he
yeah,
pulled up. That
he's
thing was
found
awesome.
some really cool stuff.
probably not a lot of scooters out in the middle of the bay.
I don't think so, but
I would hope not.
Well, no, they would. I would hope not as well.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. I think, yeah, pulling stuff out of the water is weird. Pulling crabs out of the water, pulling fish out of the water, all of these little bizarre things that are just below the surface and creep me out when I think about it because I'm going to run over them with my propellers and be very upset about it. And yet I go out and do it all the time
That's right,
anyway. It's a good thrill.
not to mention all the amazing creatures that they come across and pull up and find and just wild.
Yeah, okay, that part is surprising and probably way more appropriate for, having a teacher around who can calm me down when they pull up all those jellyfish because
Right.
I panic when I see that. Have you seen this? The crab pots are like encrusted in
yeah.
jellyfish.
I grew up in Rock Hall.
Oh
yeah.
my God, I know. I forget how salty you really are. I forget that the beard is not just for show. You're not trying to trick anybody. You really are. You really are the saltiest thing. Oh man, I'm such a princess. I don't know.
Yes, that's. But I would think too, especially the past couple years, for a number of reasons, we've been having a lot of porpoise up in here in the bay. I would imagine you guys see those while you're out as well, especially.
Yeah. So
He's talking about dolphins,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Porpoise, you ridiculous
Or
human. No, have you gotten to see
Yeah,
dolphins from
yeah,
this boat?
Not from this boat, but Denver. They were in the Gibson Island Harbor 2 or
No
3 weeks ago, like a
way.
whole
Your
group of
dad
them.
saw
Yeah.
dolphins.
In the Gibson Island Harbor. It was a crazy. He's been working there for 40 years, never seen anything like it. We've seen him out in the or out on the bay from the causeway. And a couple months, probably a month ago, CJ said, "Hey, there's dolphins right off the rocks at Gibson Island," and we never saw him, but he did. And then I want to say 2 weeks ago, it was the 4th of July weekend. 4th of July weekend, Denver was out at the houseboat and sent me a video, and there was a dozen of them in the harbor.
That's
Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Yep.
wild.
We've got pods of them right off of Rock Hall Harbor, literally 50 yards from the jetties, and that's why all the charter boats are all heading to Dundalk, to the shipping port to catch the rockfish. 'Cause
Wow.
Oh, is that why?
They run the fish all the way up.
Dang. So if you're a fisherman on the Chesapeake Bay, you're fighting dolphins
You're
now.
fighting dolphins. Yep.
Wow.
And they say if there's dolphins, there's bull sharks, and
No.
Yikes.
yeah.
Don't you dare.
Okay.
How dare you?
There's probably no bull sharks around your boat. That's fine.
This is a shark-free zone.
Oh God, people have anxiety enough.
I'm sorry. Belay that last message.
It's really the jellyfish though that you should be terrified of. I actually have never been stung by a jellyfish, and I don't know why I'm so nervous about it, but it's probably the fear of the unknown.
My son just was stung 2 weeks ago,
What?
and he's 19, and I can't remember not getting stung like every week of summer vacation. I'm like, how?
We used to
I
throw
failed you
them
as
at
a
each
parent.
other. When we would go on the beach with my
Oh, yeah.
cousins, I would throw them at each other.
Yeah,
You are. Oh God, you bad.
If you pick them up from the top,
Yeah.
you're fine. You sling them
And here I thought you had like the best karma in the world because you were such a nice person.
Just,
and
yeah, I mean-
it gives you the opportunity to buy one of the most beautiful boats with the most impressive COI I've ever seen
Yeah.
on a boat this size.
Pretty cool.
But it's not good karma. You're just a lucky duck.
I guess lucky, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, I suppose I'm supposed to talk about our sponsor one more time before we.
Yes, why don't we
close this
do
up.
that?
Unless I've forgotten something. Have I forgotten something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Our sponsor is Chesapeake Bay Magazine.
And you're the worst. I get to say it, not you. Not you. I get to say Chesapeake Bay
sorry.
Magazine. I'm very proud of us that we have a sponsor, but I'm also very excited to talk to you about Chesapeake Bay Magazine, specifically their website, ChesapeakeBayMagazine.com. If you enjoy my shenanigans, you might enjoy the videos that I've been making for Chesapeake Bay Magazine, where I go around and talk about all of the amazing places that are out there on the bay and all of the joy and saltiness and faint whiff of Old Bay in the air that is always available anywhere you go on the Chesapeake Bay. And there's this beautiful glittering light coming off the bay right now.
it is.
If you're watching the video, if you're not, I understand. Drive your car. Stop doing what you're doing. But it's all there on ChesapeakeBayMagazine.com. And if you want to find any of our other episodes, come find us at thefunnyboatpodcast.com. There's links to all of the fun people that we talk to and our sponsor, ChesapeakeBayMagazine.com. So if you're looking for TJ,
How do we find you?
Website is cruisechesapeake.com. I got a cool software on there that you can book right on the website, check our dates. One click, to get you out on the water. And then all of our fun social media content will be, I think primarily we're going to stick with Instagram. We have the Facebook page, but I think Instagram gives you the most fun, features that you can kind of get content out there. And that's just Cruise to Chesapeake.
are you following him?
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Well, I didn't invite him, so I don't expect him to, right?
If I'm invited to follow you,
I'll send the invitation. No.
Kate's gonna send me all that
There you
info.
Hey, I did ask Kate. I said, who else should we invite? And she gave us a long
I
list.
did give you a
You
long
did.
list.
That's where I started. It was great.
Huh. You gave him the list. Interesting.
Well,
Finding all sorts of stuff out. Yeah.
He asked me for people with a following.
Oh,
I did say
explains
that.
everything.
I said people that have really cool bay content. That was really, and had stuff in the area, and then we really needed to diverse and find some land-based folks too.
Yeah.
Next year.
Next year. I don't know any land folk.
Me neither.
They're weird. They
Landlubbers.
smell dry, and
Yeah,
I don't
we don't like 'em.
understand
They're not
it.
charming. No.
Flatlanders, stay on the land.
This has been the Funny Boat Podcast. Bon voyage.
Have a good one, all.
I'm so glad that I didn't screw that up completely.
Are we sure?
No. No, we're not.
It was great.
Thanks, TJ.
You're welcome.
You're just being nice.
Because I'm a nice guy.
I know.
I just needed a warm up. That's what. Not that I did any better than before, but I was like, "What are we doing?"
All right, now I'm killing this
It's like,
for
be
real.
here. Okay.